What's up, everybody? Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that new intro. Now, this is going to be the biggest Nintendo Switch Pro or enhanced version console video I think I've ever done. The information I present here is all facts, no rumors at all. This is, without a doubt, the biggest indication of a very nice upgrade coming for the Nintendo Switch. And as far as I know, I am the only source and YouTube channel that is going to cover this information. No one else is discussing this. No one else has pointed this out. In fact, there are websites and other YouTube channels that are incorrectly reporting simply because they haven't looked deeper into the information provided by the FCC or have done the research about it either. So keep that in mind with this video. When you hear anyone say that this is simply a minor CPU revision or something like that to the current Nintendo Switch, that is actually factually wrong, because what they're doing here is something far greater, and we're going to prove it here with facts in this video. And we're also going to get into the Nintendo Switch Lite specs at the end of the video, but first of all, this is really big information, so we're going to discuss this first. But back on July 2nd, Nintendo filed with the FCC a request for Class 2 permissive change, and they listed it under the current Nintendo Switch numbering. Now, we're going to talk about why they may have done that in just a moment, but what they requested was a change of the SOC type, not a modification, but a change of the type of SOC, system on chip. The chip that has the CPU and GPU on it, basically, you know how they put it in the Nintendo Switch, it is one chip. They requested a change of the type of SOC they're using. And the biggest, and I repeat, biggest part of this is that they are changing the NAND memory type. This has been completely overlooked by all major websites and YouTube channels. This is the biggest indication for this upgraded Nintendo Switch to have a completely customized SoC, and quite possibly not even based on a Tegra X1 processor, Parker chip, or Xavier chip. And then it goes on to say the CPU board is changed due to the above two components. What that means is that they're completely changing the motherboard as well. If you guys have ever built a PC before, you'll know that when you install the CPU onto the motherboard, there's no other attachments that go onto the motherboard. You have to install it there, and that's it. So if they're changing the CPU board, they're saying that the motherboard that the SoC sits in has to be completely changed in order to support the new type of SoC and the new type of NAND memory. And there's two main reasons why I think Nintendo did put this under the original Nintendo Switch numbering, is because, first of all, it does in fact hide that they're releasing a new enhanced Nintendo Switch, which of course the Wall Street Journal has said, and even Emily Rogers chimed in today on Reset Era and also said that she believes that there is another Nintendo Switch coming in 2019 besides the Switch Lite. And of course, Mucci from Wall Street Journal also tweeted out that it's still coming today as well. But when you think of it this way, basically what Nintendo did here is that they put a new SoC, a new motherboard, a new NAND memory chip, and they tested it inside a Nintendo Switch shell casing basically, and said, hey, this is another Nintendo Switch we're testing. And by doing this, like I said, it does hide that this is a brand new console that they're going to be releasing, and it also negates Nintendo having to file a new paperwork or a new filing basically that takes time. They can get this done really quickly and then do that stuff later as they go, filing that new SoC, that new NAND, and the new motherboard under a different filing later when they're ready to announce the new enhanced Nintendo Switch. So if you think of it this way, for example, I have two PCs. One PC is based on an i5 and it only supports DDR3 memory on that motherboard. Now, the new PC I built last year in 2018, the motherboard supports DDR4 and the new Ryzen based processor. So that was one of the reasons why I upgraded, so I could have the benefits of the new memory and the new processor, because my old motherboard did not support it. So with this change by Nintendo, what they're showing here with the new NAND memory type is that they are going to be supporting a new type of memory. And this also proves that they're using some type of custom chip to run this in, because the Tegra X1 processor, the Parker chip, and the Xavier chip do not support any other type of NAND memory besides eMMC, Embedded Multimedia Controller, which is provided by Samsung for the Nintendo Switch. And the maximum capacity that eMMC provides, which, like I said, is only supported on Xavier, Tegra X1, and the Parker chip, the maximum it goes to is 256 gigabytes. In order for them to support upgraded memory speeds and upgraded storage space, they need to upgrade to none other than UFS, Universal Flash Storage. And that is also provided by Samsung in NAND format, but the difference is that UFS goes up to 512 gigabytes and even 1 terabyte of storage, for flash memory. Also on top of that, it has faster read speeds than eMMC does. So going into the next generation of consoles, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Scarlet, they're definitely not going to be using eMMC, which is outdated, and even the newer mobile phones use UFS standard for their NAND as well. So it makes sense that Nintendo would do this and that they would change out the NAND, and to do that they would need to completely change the motherboard of the Nintendo Switch, this enhanced version of it. And of course, they would need to change out the SOC completely because, like I said, Xavier, Parker, and X1 do not support NAND UFS. They only support eMMC. I want to make that very clear. This is factual information. This is not a rumor, guys. So if they're doing this with their hardware, with the FCC, this basically confirms that Nintendo is in fact releasing not only a more powerful Switch, but also one that won't be limited to 256 gigabytes of storage space internally if Nintendo wants to have 512 or even a terabyte. By changing the NAND to UFS, which is the only other option available currently to them, this opens up the possibilities for the enhanced version of the Nintendo Switch to have substantially greater storage space and way faster read speeds. And of course, if it's not based on those chips, like I said, because they don't support UFS, this means that this could be a very special customized chip made just for this enhanced Nintendo Switch. Like I talked about before, Nintendo has been hiring recently in the last months to work on drivers for a console that supports OS Virtualization, which means that they would be emulating the current Nintendo Switch OS on this new enhanced version of the Switch. In order to do that, because they would need to upgrade basically everything in order for it to support this new type of memory controller. And it seems like a perfect time to do it because the next generation is coming out next year. On top of that, the current Tegra processors on the market that NVIDIA is providing factually do not provide support for UFS storage capacity in their NAND. So either they're taking apart the Tegra from scratch and rebuilding it and making it completely custom for this upgraded Nintendo Switch, or they're working on something totally different and making that completely customized in order to run for this new console. But either way, factually, that is what Nintendo is doing, and that is not speculation by me. The information is all there for you to see for yourself, guys. It's very exciting. All the links to this information will be in the description. You can fact check absolutely everything. There's absolutely nothing here that is not 100% the truth. All right, guys. Now next, the Switch Lite was announced today by Nintendo. And it was pretty much what I expected. Besides not having the ability to dock, I did expect it to be able to dock still, but Nintendo may have decided to remove that in the last moment. And they did make this a handheld only dedicated device, which makes sense when you think about it because they want to still be able to sell the current style of the Nintendo Switch until they do announce this more enhanced version of the Switch. They don't want to interrupt sales of that. So taking out the ability to dock does segregate this to a different audience completely and leaves out the home console based audience that the current Nintendo Switch has. But when you look at the specs of the Nintendo Switch Lite, it's actually kind of interesting because this chip is a custom Tegra chip itself, it says, and it has some improvements over the current Nintendo Switch, obviously as a portable only device. So when this thing is finally released, we may be seeing actual slight improvements as a handheld device over the Nintendo Switch current model. So here are some of the specs. It has a 720p screen, 5.5-inch LCD screen. There was some rumor to talk from Forbes that it could have a 1080p screen, but that wasn't the case. And I talked about this a little bit on Twitter. I said I didn't think the Switch Lite or mini version would have a 1080p screen because of the cost factor, keeping it down, and obviously with it being smaller, a 720p screen makes the most sense. Then it says the GPU CPU is an NVIDIA customized Tegra processor, which makes sense if they're trying to negate some of the piracy that the original Nintendo Switch Tegra X1 had. And then you see here, of course, it has 32 gigabytes of storage, which is the same as the current Nintendo Switch. Interestingly enough, it still has NFC support and wireless LAN and Bluetooth 4.1, and it retains USB-C type charging for it. And of course, all the latest and greatest micro SD, micro SDHC, and micro SDXC memory card support. And another interesting thing was that the battery is actually smaller than the original Nintendo Switch at 3570, and it actually lasts longer. And they gave an example with Breath of the Wild running for 4 hours on a single charge versus the original Nintendo Switch, which lasts at only 3 hours on that console. Very interested to see some of the customizations that was made on this Tegra processor for this Nintendo Switch Lite, because that is quite a bit of an improvement with less battery size, you're getting an extra hour of play with games like Breath of the Wild and up to 6 hours for most games from what they say here. Again, this is all really awesome information. It was a great day today. I think this was really interesting. I think we'll be seeing this enhanced Nintendo Switch quite possibly later this year. It's already in production as reported by the Wall Street Journal, and Nintendo's already testing it in the FCC there, and all the proof is there for you guys to look at for yourselves. This is not some simple revision. They're doing a complete motherboard change and a complete change of the SoC and a complete change of the NAND memory type to most likely UFS, because that is the only other option they have to use in order to increase storage capacity internally to 512 gigabytes or 1 terabyte. So this is outstanding, awesome information, all factually based, not a rumor. Thanks so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please hit the like button, subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you very soon in the next video. Have a great day.